I thought Joey's a couple things about Joey Embo. I think he's playing exceptionally well right now, and I think, in our opinion, I think the game against Central Florida might have been his best game this season. UCF has a very, very talented center. We challenged Joey, going to play him right on their center all game, and Joey had 10 tackles in this game, which you rarely ever see a nose guard, let alone any defensive lineman having 10 tackles. So Joey's playing exceptionally well, and as proud as we are of him, how he's playing in games. Again, his leadership has really been tremendous as well.
As the game went on with Greg Ward at quarterback, what did you see on tape this week from him that just made you decide to go with him as a starter?
Well, I think, I'm going to go back before the tape. I think he gave us a spark when he went in there, and he's been in the quarterback meetings. He's been doing both at practice, which certainly puts a lot on a young man's plate, if you will. And he led our offense down and directed some scoring drives. And with the way he played and his ability to extend plays, again, the last play we had in the game on offense obviously was not a designed run. We're at the 20-yard line, and the coverage was good. They dropped into coverage, and he saw a seam and took it. And against, I think, one of the most talented linebackers in our conference, made him miss around the 10-yard line and got free down the sideline, gave us a chance to win the game. So, again, based on what he did in the game in terms of leading us to scoring drives, his ability to extend plays, really that's what I saw staying on the sidelines, and I think watching the tape really confirmed everything.
And do you think that elusiveness you talked about, it opens up the run game, doesn't it? I mean, the play action pass seemed like it was there, and the play action, the handoffs and the options. Well,
I think in terms of extending plays, when your quarterback's got that ability, I think it can open up a lot of things. You talk about, you can sit there and design quarterback runs all night, and some of the best quarterback runs that Greg had Thursday night were pass plays where he just tucked the ball and ended up running for 17, 20, 25 yards. So, there's a lot of different things you can do. I think it puts a different type of stress and pressure on defenses in terms of schemes and what the coordinator is going to call based on down and distance, and obviously we're talking about based on a quarterback that's dual threat. So he can throw it, he can run it, he can hand it off, and then he can scramble. And when he scrambles, he can run with it. And when he scrambles, if a defender makes a decision to come off, he can, like he did the other night, throw it to receiver downfield and get us yards off a broken play, if you will. So I think there's a lot of things, a lot of dimensions Greg adds coming in playing quarterback.
On tape, what do you see from Memphis that may give you fits? And they played some really good, obviously top 225 teams and close losses. What do you see from their defense?
Well, they're a very good defense, and they were a very good defense last year. We put the film on, obviously, and watch our game from last year. I think I looked, we had total offense. We won the game 25-15 last year. Our defense recovered 4 fumbles, held them to 0 touchdowns, 5 field goals, and we only turned the ball over 1 time, did not throw an interception. I don't think our passing stats were very good last season in this game. The opening drive, we go down the field, we score a touchdown on a throw to Daniel Spencer, and then we end up, I think, scoring later on. But Memphis was ahead in the 3rd quarter in this football game. So, and again, I think we had 247 yards last season of total offense against them. So they've been a good defense. You can see the aggressiveness. Again, just turn the film on. They got a 3-man front, and they're bringing 4 or 5 almost every snap. And they're being opportunistic this year. They got a bunch of seniors on their defense. They've had a number of interceptions. They've scored defensively. They're taking the football away. I think it's one of those where certain teams you play and you know exactly how they're going to line up, And Memphis, our student athletes, really got to do a great job of studying them to know exactly what they're doing on every down in distance or based on field position.
One of the things you said when you took over was that you weren't going to change something that obviously had been working, and you were around when the offense was such a high-powered offense. You haven't been able to maintain that. Has that been disappointing for you over the course of the last 2.5 years?
It has been, and I think it's been frustrating. And when you again, I don't have a desire nor certainly time to listen to what's being said or posted in chat rooms, or certainly, no offense, I don't read your columns and have any desire to, but when I look at our offense today and I compare it to last year's offense and the offense in 2012 and the offense we had in 2011 going back to 08 when I got here as an assistant, every coordinator has put his little spin on it. When Dana got here in 08, it wasn't exactly what Texas Tech was doing with Mike Leach. And then when Dana left and Cliff took over, again, I'm not putting words in their mouth, but in Cliff's mind, okay, we can make it a little bit better or maybe tailor it more to his personality, and we can just tweak this, this, and this. And then it's slightly evolved, but it's the same principles, it's the same concept. Okay, now people can say, well, the tempo is not as fast as it once was rather. There's a run play now where they pull a lineman. I don't remember that from 2009. Those are wrinkles, and not only those wrinkles, but I think as coaches you got to try to play to the strengths rather of your student athletes. And I think at some point you got to make a decision. How fast can we go with either the quarterback, with the 11 young men on offense? How fast can they handle? We talk about, and I think this is true for every program in the country, because I talk about this with other coaches at other programs. We sit, we were up here the other day for 16 hours in the same room watching video and game planning and making decisions, and it's not what we know, it's what we get our student athletes to know, and we get our student athletes to execute when the play's called in and the ball snapped. So in terms of concepts and the offense, year to year the parts change, and this has been a program that has had an unbelievably successful offense over time, and certainly there are up and down years, but over time it's known nationally for Houston, the high-powered offense. And we've had veterans at quarterback, we've had youngsters at quarterback, we've had veterans at the skill positions, and we've had to break in some youngsters at times. We've had some turnover with coaches in terms of who's calling it and who's running it. So when you ask me if I'm frustrated, and you can say frustrated and disappointed when you come and put the film on and the execution's not there. And again, I don't want to keep referencing what I said 15 minutes ago about how we try to move the chains and get the offense going, but it can be frustrating when it's not executed like you feel like you're drawing it up, like you hope that it would be executed, and then you look up and your kicker's leading the nation in field goals, and you're not getting the ball in the end zone. Well, when you talk about our defense, I think I'm going to go back to something I've said now for a while. I think defensive football, I think you can be successful doing a couple things. First and foremost, having your 11 guys on the field understand where they line up and what they're supposed to do. Because, again, in theory, the offense can dictate things by personnel, by tempo. So defensively, you got to be able to make sure all 11 young men know where they line up, and when the ball is snapped, what they're supposed to do. And so going back off of what we did in 12 and what we changed going to 2013 is we cut back the amount of defense we had, really cut it in half. I think we did a great job. When I interviewed Coach Gibbs, I told him, I said, look, everybody talks about 4-3, 3-4, and I've been here in this program now 5 years, as I was talking to Coach Gibbs 2 years ago, and said, the quantity of certain positions in our program traditionally here has been limited, and here's who we have personnel-wise. Here's what their strengths can be, and I think we did a great job taking some very, very talented and athletic and smart young men in our program that were in the 6'2", 230-pound range, and making them a stand-up defensive end, where we can have a 4-man front, and Eric Island, Trevor Harris, and Tyus Bowser can rush, and they're a true defensive end, or it's a 3-man front, and they're a 4th linebacker dropping into coverage or blitzing. And we've simplified things. We've really focused on the techniques and fundamentals of, again, playing great defense, tackling, taking the football away. And I think we gained some confidence early on last season. I think halfway during the year, when we really started getting games with 4, 5, and 6 turnovers, I think we really formed an identity there. And I think with 9 starters back, I said this going into this season, we weren't going to try to invent the wheel on defense, reinvent the wheel on defense just because we had all these veterans back. We were going to try to continue to get good at what we do, and I think the results right now are speaking for themselves.
You mentioned your field goal kicker. Can you just, say some words about him and how confident you are sending him out there for those long field goals? Well,
Kyle's doing a great job, and I think, when you talk about our field goal operation, we had to replace a lot of young men on our field goal team in terms of the protection off of last season. Again, our snapper, Holder, and Kyle were all back, so that part of it we felt great about. And I think our protection has been really, really good so far through 5 games, and we smile about it because I think we've missed 3 or 4 extra points, but he's been really good on the field goals, and even in the game Thursday night, we had some mistakes at quarterback where we're in good field goal, makeable field goal range on 3rd down, and then we take a sack. And as soon as I saw where the ball was spotted, and I knew it was within really 55 yards, specifically going to our left with the wind, I didn't hesitate to say field goal and send them out there and feel confident that we were going to come away with 3 points on that drive. So, certainly you feel good as a head coach with the confidence of when we get down to the 35-yard line going in, if we can stay from the 35-yard line going in, we've at that point we have 3 points. Let's try to get 7, but you feel like you're confident that you're going to, worst case scenario, come away with 3. And I think Kyle Bullard right now is as confident in himself as I've ever seen him. And again, rightfully so. I think on paper, I read somewhere where he's made 18 consecutive dating back to last season. So really proud of him. He's a young man that came in, has worked extremely hard. I feel like we had a good plan for him in terms of easing him into games last year and then allowing him to take over during the course of the season. I think we did a good job this season getting him some confidence early on, and now again I think he's doing a fantastic job.